If you're holding US dollars, there are a number of opportunities you can take advantage of in 2021 to find cheap real estate and cheap investments in emerging markets that not only can be a good place to live, but also offer residence and citizenship. I'm going to share with you 4 of those markets right now. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. I'm the author of the book Nomad Capitalist and the founder of Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you are treated best. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. And what I want to talk about today are 4 markets where you can take your US dollars or other historically strong currencies like the euro, like the Swiss franc, and put them into emerging market currencies where you can not only find a place to live, potentially a place that can be part of your nomad capitalist trifecta lifestyle, or just an investment opportunity and get a discount. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this. One of the currencies that's come on the radar from a number of the international investment types is the Mexican peso. Quite frankly, hasn't done that badly against the US dollar over the last couple of years. It's down only 4 or 5%. So I've got 4 currencies that are down more where you can go in and take advantage of some real estate deals. And the first one is the Brazilian real. Now, as I know it's hard to pronounce that currency name in English, I'm going to have our real estate team member, Suellen, who is from Brazil, tell you exactly how to pronounce it.
Hello everyone, I'm Suellen Sampaio from Brazil, and this word is pronounced reais. But if you say reais, people will understand.
Thanks, Suellen. Now, the Brazilian real a couple years ago was about 3.73 against the US dollar before going up to a recent high of about 5.8 during the March-April 2020 pandemic run-up of emerging market currencies. That was a great time to get into a lot of currencies whose name wasn't the US dollar. Even more secure currencies like the Singapore dollar was a great buying opportunity. Now, it has come back to about 5.1, so you missed the best of the buying opportunities. However, it's still down close to 30% against the US dollar. And so if you're looking to live in Rio, for example, or live in southern Brazil, a lot of people going to southern Brazil, like Florianopolis and that part of the country, to buy a cheap apartment, buy a cheap home. Beachfront properties are available. There's a lot of up-and-coming opportunities in Brazil, and now we're seeing people focus their sights on the north of the country as well. So lots of opportunities in Brazil at a discount, and they do have a little discussed residence program that we found rather unworkable, rather clunky, rather bureaucratic. So we haven't talked about it a lot, but if you're interested in learning about investment properties in Brazil, leave a comment below and we'll consider talking about that. Now, the second currency that has taken a beating also in South America is the Colombian peso. We've talked about Colombia for some time. I've talked about Bogota. Now, what's interesting about a market like Bogota, particularly I think in the capital city, is you see since the pandemic, there are a lot of properties for sale. A lot of new inventory comes in the market. But as we see in a lot of Eastern European emerging market economies, many of those sellers, from what I can tell, aren't that serious because prices on sales have not gone down. When I look at the sales that are actually happening, I see that the value of an apartment like mine has actually potentially gone up. And so if you buy in a great area in a country like Colombia, to me, there's always some certain value there. You're going to have areas on the fringes that aren't going to do well, the same way that the fringes of Los Angeles, 2 hours outside of Los Angeles in the Antelope Valley, or halfway to Barstow, didn't do well during the economic crisis of the 2000s. And so that applies to a lot of different cities. However, the currency itself has gotten beaten up. It was about 6 years ago in the 2000 range. Then it went up into the high 2000s. Then in the last 5 years, you've basically been 3,000 and above, peaking at over 4,100 against the US dollar during that 2020 pandemic run-up, and then coming back down, and now running back up again to about 3,800 pesos. That's what you get for every US dollar. So definitely a discount. If you compare it just to 2 years ago, for example, you're going to save about 15 or 16% on prices. Now again, we've actually seen decent performance from what I can tell in Colombia in the last 2 years. However, you can go in and get a 16% discount. Colombia has a permanent residence program that is relatively flexible. I think it is a country that a lot of people talk about as a place that is in the long term going to be a good investment. You look at its strategic position, you look at Bogota as being one of the top 5 cities in all of the Americas in terms of size. You look at a lot of factors in Colombia. I think it's heading in the right direction. It's probably a longer term play, but it's a good opportunity now to get in my opinion, save yourself 15 or 16% off of prices that didn't exist too long ago. Now, if you're looking at Asia, one of the currencies that has been losing ground against the dollar recently is one that actually had strengthened against it in a very solid fashion in recent years, and that's the Thai baht. This has become almost a secondary safe haven currency in Asia. You see a lot of Chinese going and getting investor visas, putting money into Thailand. Singapore, of course, the undisputed independent wealth haven now in Asia. But Thailand is a place that is gaining some traction. And so as a result of that and other factors, the Thai baht came down against the US dollar substantially. It had been up in the mid 30s before coming down to just under 30, but 29.98, right around New Year's of 2021. And so now it's heading back up. People I talk to say it'll probably cross 33 to the dollar. It's almost there. Now, that's not 16% or an almost 30% drop, but it is nearly about a 10% drop. And it gives an opportunity for a currency that has been relatively stable against the US dollar and some of its more stable Asian peers. It's an opportunity to go in and perhaps obtain that Thai elite visa, go in and obtain a Thai investor visa where you're putting money in the bank, putting money in government bonds, putting money into new real estate. You can get yourself this long-term renewable visa. And so for a country that a lot of people like to go to, a country that is perhaps one of the ones that's a bit more flexible among Asian peers right now during the pandemic in terms of letting people come in. We've been having people moving to Thailand, and that has been working right now. This is an opportunity to save yourself a little bit of money. And again, not a huge discount, but certainly something that is worth taking a look at. This could be an opportunity to move into, again, getting that private bank account and getting that access to Thailand, which is relatively difficult compared to a lot of its Asian neighbors. Thailand has made its immigration more difficult. Now, the fourth country whose currency has taken a beating, a lot of people have talked about this one, and that is the Turkish lira. You go back and look just a couple years ago, the Turkish lira was in the 5s, then it was in the 7s, now it's in the 8s. And so people say this is a currency that consistently goes down. Now, the caveat that I've said, if you're looking at property for, let's say, the citizenship by investment program, 250,000 US dollars in Turkish lira equivalent, there are some caveats to that, and there are some things that you should be aware of before you just go and plunk your money down. The first thing being that most of the new builds you're going to find are absolutely overpriced, absolutely a bad deal, and you definitely want to buy in the right neighborhood. But if you are buying in the right neighborhood in a country like Turkey, my comments, the same I made in Bogota, stand, where I believe that there are some areas where you have relative US dollar pricing. Is that going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But I do think in the best areas, in some of these countries where security, prestige, that kind of thing is very important, you're going to see some areas that go up in value in a more international way than in a fringe area or in a more local area. So for someone who wants to make a lifestyle investment, the Turkish lira is down by a third in just the last couple of years, and it continues to go down in these last couple of months. So you could go and buy a property on the seaside. That could be a good lifestyle investment. You're going to get a lot more for your money right now than you would, for example, here in Montenegro, than you would in a lot of these areas that are denominated in euros that have resorts. Even again, as we said, than you would in Mexico, for example, with the Mexican peso. Now, resort areas, a lot of inventory, a lot of supply, a lot of continued ability to create supply, as well as other areas nearby, other countries, other resort areas, continue to put out their own supply. So resort areas, to me, not the most solid investment, unless it's just a lifestyle purchase and you like the idea of being on the coast of Turkey. But if you're looking to buy a property for, let's say, residence or even the citizenship by investment program, there are some good areas in Istanbul where you can get in at a discount. You can buy, you can negotiate because people want to turn their liras into dollars. And I think in the long term, you'll have something that is relatively stable and you can get a free citizenship out of it. So not a bad deal from a falling currency. So these are all countries that have some ability to go and get residence, get citizenship, whether immediately or in the future. And right now they're on sale. So 4 countries, interesting opportunities for 2021. Which of those do you like the best? I want to see your feedback in the comments section below, and I want to see what you want to hear more about these countries in the comments. So people ask, Andrew, how do I get the most out of Nomad Capitalist? How do I begin my Nomad Capitalist journey? The first thing people do is they start right where you're at. They watch YouTube, they listen to podcasts, they read articles at nomadcapitalist.com. We've spent years creating thousands of pieces of free content so that you can get the vibe from someone who's actually done this, from someone who's actually been in your shoes. What they'll do next, they'll get a copy of the book. You can find it on Amazon. It costs a few bucks, and while it's not going to give you all the secrets, it's going to, again, give you more of the vibe. You're going to learn a lot of the things that I've learned. You're going to learn some strategies you can employ, and you're going to get a lot further in your journey. From there, if you are the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur investor, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com. You can click Become a Client. We're pretty busy these days, but we have availability to help a limited number of people who want to create a holistic plan, something that I think is so important. So if you want to do that, go to nomadcapitalist.com, click Become a Client, learn more about how it works and how we can help you.